Hi, my name is Eden, and I'm currently taking a class on Eric Fromm. It's sort of like an intro to psychology course, and we recently had a really cool thing where we've discovered someone that was making a documentary on Eric Fromm, which I think was pretty cool for all of us since I would say that 95% of the people outside of Miami Valley that I've said taking a class on Eric Fromm, they would go, "Who's Eric Fromm?" And I don't think I hang out with specifically ignorant people. It's just that he's not as well known now. As Mr. Scribes would say, it was after the 1980s that kind of the rise of conservatism did not support the ideals of Eric Fromm, which has made me think about a lot of things. I kind of now have this like ongoing thought about how Fromm can be integrated in society now. And I think there's a lot of ways that he could be really important. I think the most important that I think about is sort of like so he talks about this idea of having or being mode, which I'm sure you can look on any of the videos on this channel. Everyone talks about it, so I'm just going to assume you know. So you can live in the having or being mode. And I think I always kind of compare it to like capitalism is sort of the having mode and socialism is kind of the being mode. That's kind of a bias in itself, but I would kind of take those two forms of government and kind of compare them that way. And I think it's interesting because it's like, after reading a lot of Eric Fromm, I don't think he specifically argues that you should always live in the being mode, which I think is the same thing with capitalism and socialism. So I think that for a person like me and a lot of other people, it's like socialism is kind of this like dream of like everyone's kind of happy and equal and you're living in the being mode. It's not about possessions, but ultimately, if you look at Europe, which is where Fromm's from, socialism hasn't really worked. And so I think that's why it's important that there is the capitalist aspect of that. So it's sort of like you need to live in both the having and being, which also means that you kind of have to have both socialism and capitalism in a functioning country. But yeah, I think that that's definitely a way that Fromm's works could integrate itself back into society and really help people to see that living in the being mode and having human relationships is really important. I think a line that I really enjoyed, and I think it was The Art of Loving. He says, some people are only based on everything they have, like possessions. And then he says, what happens after you lose all you have? And I think that really struck a chord with me just because that is the having capitalist aspect of life. If especially in this day and age, we're brought up in society with everything, with all our possessions as who we are. This computer is kind of my life, I would say, my lifeline to who I am. And I think it's what he's, I think it's so important now that that what we have isn't what makes us who we are. In an aspect it does, but I think Fromm's point is that we need to build relationships, we need to build character, we need to build our personalities and self without these sort of materialistic things, because in the end, in my own words, you really only have yourself. And so I think it's really important that Fromm could possibly have this resurgence in society, and I think a lot of people would see that many of his ideas, although based on a lot of things that had to do with World War II, I think that his ideas are so prevalent today and can be interpreted in so many ways. I always think it's interesting because I've always read a lot of other, I've enjoyed reading a lot of other psychiatrists' books, psychologists, philosophers' books that don't really tell you how to build relationships like Fromm does, which I think is so crucial for society right now in a time where we're slowly moving away from kind of human contact, which I would not say is a good thing at all, especially since right now I'm talking to you through a video, which is just proving this. But yeah, I think that many of his books and many of his ideas could really make an impact on society if they were sort of known about and brought back with this sort of like liberal wave that's going through the United States, and people seeing importance in relationships and all that fuzzy stuff. But yeah, so yeah, if that made any sense. Sweet, thanks, bye.